Hey guys, what's up? This is a crazy time in the industry. This is your friendly neighborhood professional photographer, Kareem Black. I just got the Photoshop beta. This is not the Firefly beta. This is a Photoshop beta with the generative AI, like the generative fill function, and it's crazy. Like, no bullshitting. This is something that I think will change the industry. I've been a professional photographer for 23 years, and the biggest change I saw in that time was film to digital. I started shooting film. This is along those lines, if not more dramatic. This is going to change everything that we do as professional photographers. I've been fooling around with it. It is not perfect yet, but I want to show you guys some examples of what I've been doing. We'll talk about the strengths and weaknesses and the possibilities. Let's get to work. Okay, so first things first. What exactly are we dealing with here? We're dealing with the beta version of the next version of Photoshop, basically. It is different, as far as I understand, from the Firefly stuff that I've done some reviews on. You can go and check out some other videos on that. And how do we get it? You have to have Adobe Creative Cloud. And then once you go to Adobe Creative Cloud, you can go into a section where it's like try the betas, and then you can sort of download this version of Photoshop. I don't know if there's another way to get this beta version. And with this beta version, you get all. I mean, the big reveal here is the generative, is the AI fill, the generative fill. It is like content aware, but on steroids. So if we're doing, okay, so this is an image that I took of Eric Cedeno. He is a really amazing long-distance bicyclist, cross-country bicyclist, and I just want to fool around with what's going on. So if you notice down here, we have this little menu that we weren't dealing with before on regular versions of Photoshop, and I want to show you how this is used. Okay, so one thing that we might be running into today is in this beta version, the things that are generated in this beta version are lower res than my regular images that my Sony AR7 III are spitting out. So there is sort of a difference in quality, but let's see what we're dealing with here. I'm going to make this into color, and let's see. Let's subtract from asset to mask. Let's see. Let's just select our. Let's select our subject. Now, what's interesting about this is because he's turned around, it's sort of having a problem selecting. Like the computer doesn't see a face, it doesn't see eyes or whatever. So it's like, okay, cool. Let's the subject, the selection's a little fucked up, but let's make it a little bit neater, right? Let's do that. And what I want to do, let's start out with something super, super easy. In fact, let's combine these layers. Let's merge those. I am going to do I'm going to do a blank layer. I'm going to cut all these layers off underneath it. And just so it's going to make the demonstration a little bit more understandable. Let's cut all of the pixels from this guy. Now, the way that this was advertised and what blew me away is that the computer will guess what exists in the frame behind our subject. We've cut our subject out. Now we need to fill, let's see what the computer comes up with. So in order to get this prompt, we do need to make a selection. All right, so this is our selection, right? Just like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's how it was advertised, Adobe. So let's see. And then what we can do is we can give it a prompt, or we could just say, generate. Let's just generate. So let's see what it comes up with. Now, this does exist on the cloud. This takes a lot of computing power, apparently. And so it does take some time to generate. But I've been surprised the little that I've dealt with it. It is not perfect, but it is frighteningly good, generally. Let's see. It's thinking. It's wondering if there's going to be a light at the end of this tunnel, like if you're actually going to like be able to see through to the look at this. It is saying that we see that he's standing in front of a tunnel. How deep does this tunnel? Let's see. So this is that's the before. And it's crazy because we don't see any, it's generated graffiti right here, which is pretty crazy. And the great thing is you get 3 different variations. So this, we don't have any light at the end of the tunnel there. And on the 3rd generation, let's see what we got. That's interesting. Now, I think that we are handicapping the program a little bit because, as you can see, this guy is standing just in front of a dark space, right? I wonder if he was standing in front of a bookshelf. Maybe that's the next thing I'll do. Someone's standing in front of a bookshelf and see if it continues the bookshelf, you know? But that's a pretty interesting start. How about this? Let's go back. We're going to go back in time a little bit. And I want to give it another prompt here. I'm going to do the generative film. And I want to say tunnel with a city in the distance. Tunnel opening, maybe. Tunnel with the city in the distance. Now let's see. Where are you going? Now I want to see, what I would like for it to do is to give me a city on the other end of this tunnel. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to interpret this. And this is the interesting thing about AI, where life is so, life and perception is so complicated that we, at some point, it's in the eye of it's subjective. Like, if I told you what's going to be at the end of this tunnel, like it's a city and cityscape sunset, you would picture it differently than I would. And that's the test that we're doing right now with this. Now, look at this. It's continued the train tracks. That's so fucking smart. It's continued the train tracks. It's continued the... Wait, did we have train tracks in the beginning? Get out of here. Did we have train tracks? We didn't have train tracks. The train tracks are a figment of the AI's imagination. It's so crazy, of the AI's imagination. And our 3rd generation is that. That's so interesting. It's coming up with the sign, like the train railroad sign, like it looks like a real railroad sign. Now, it is giving us the outline of our character here, basically. Like, this is the outline of our selection, right? Isn't that just a clean outline of the selection? Let's see. More or less, yeah. But I think that we are seeing the possibilities here, right? Let's try another one. So this is another one of my boy Eric. This is all during a trip that I took to Nebraska, which was crazy. And this town that we shot him in was the population was 1,011 people. This is during their 4th of July celebration, so there are a lot more people out. This is obviously a super... this is my fuck up. This is an overexposed image. So we're going to see we're just going to fool around with what we can fool around with. Let's select our subject. For the sake of simplicity, I am going to... So it's automatically selecting parts of his bike and like all this stuff. So I'm going to just go in by hand. I'm going to make sure the selection's a little bit cleaner. What the hell is going on here? There we are. Okay. And make sure the selection is just a little bit cleaner, so it's just him. Get his bike out of it. Let's see. There we are. There we are. There we are. And I'm going to get his foot out of it. Actually, maybe that was a mistake. I want to leave his foot in. I want to see what happens. There we go. I am going to put our boy in a tuxedo because that'd be kind of ridiculous. I'm riding down the street in a tuxedo. Now, what I noticed is that if I say man in a tuxedo, it's going to grab his clothes, it's going to grab his face, or it's going to put a different face on the guy. Actually, you know what? Maybe that is good for me to show you guys. Generative fill. Man in tux. How about that? Oops. I have big fat fingers, so sometimes I can't type. So I did fool around with this particular image a little bit before, and they actually gave me his, different guy's face on the guy because I basically said man in tux. Maybe I should just have said tuxedo. And what I've also noticed is, see, here we go. So what I've also noticed is the faces leave a lot to be desired. I mean, this is the reason that this is a beta right now. But what I do think that we can recognize, especially with this first draft, first of all, here are the three options, right? I think it's important to pay attention to what the AI is doing here, how it's thinking. If you guys have ever played like Metal Gear Solid or something like that, and after you beat the game, you can you have all the weapons, but you can fool around with the AI to see exactly what it's programmed to do, and in doing so, you can kind of see how it thinks and somewhat break the game. I'm interested in seeing how this AI is thinking, and I think it'll make it easier for us as photographers to get what we want out of it if we know what to do and what not to do. So, for instance, I think, let's look at what's good here. We're on a day, look at the shadow on the ground, shadow of the bike. We're talking about a sun that's coming over his right shoulder, and so the shadow is falling in that direction. The tuxedo is lit in the same way, which is amazing. That's crazy. The AI is comprehending that. This is a mess, and I also think that we can see the difference between, even if in the blurry background, we can see the difference between the low res on his tuxedo and the res that's going on in this blurry background. So listen, let's go back in time. What the hell is going on here? Here we are. We're going to go back in time and learning how this AI works. We're going to take our boy's head off. You guys ever see Face Off? It's literally, it's the best. It's one of the best bad movies, but it's good. It's good because it's bad. John Travolta, Nicolas Cage. Anyway, we're going to take this guy's face off. Off of the selection anyway. So we're going to leave his face alone, and we're just going to say, for our generative fill, we're not going to do a tuxedo suit with a black tie. Oh, black suit with a black tie. How about black suit with a black tie and white shirt. How about that? Let's see what we come up with. There are a couple other things I would use AI for here. I mean, I don't even know if it's. Oh, that's interesting. Here's an idea. Since I fucked up the exposure so badly on this, I wonder if the AI can leave the background alone and just make the exposure better. Now, this is not bad. This ain't bad. This ain't going to get me any jobs, but this ain't bad. You can see how the computer's thinking. In the future, we will keep hands out of our selections if we... Let's see. Oh, they changed the whole handlebars. Interesting. The interesting thing about the generative fill is it makes its own separate layer, so nothing's destroyed. I can go into my AI generated layer and start to erase it and go down to the actual layer. If this was something that I was doing, if this was coming out, if the generative fill was spitting out high enough resolution stuff, I would keep the hands, I would keep the handlebars so that the computer's not think it's not getting too creative. But I think it's super interesting where this is going. There's got to be a way to up-res it or something. It's not there yet, but I think that we can all as artists extrapolate what can be done, right? Let me try one more thing here. Throw out my generative layer. Let me select the subject. I am going to, let's see, actually, you know what? Can I do it like this? Let's go back in time. Okay, now we got our subject selected. And I'm going to keep his face on. There we are. Let me get rid of his bike. And what I want to do is I want to select the inverse. And I want to see what we can do about this background. I'm going to be fairly conservative. I want to see if this AI, instead of going rogue and creating stuff, can you just help me out? Can you be a tool here for a second? And let me take care of this. Let's learn lessons from last time. We will, you know what? I do want this. There we are. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do it wrong. Let's deselect. Select subject. And I am going to include his bike. So let's see. There we are. We're including his bike. This is going to be super interesting because there are spokes on his bike, and I'm planning on... I'm not sure if the computer is going to be able to discern that and make the pavement that we can see through the spokes make it make sense with the background that I'm about to do. So for instance, let's see. Can I do generative fill? Okay, I don't want to do generative fill yet. I want to select the inverse, and now we're selecting everything except for him, right? And I want to do a generative fill, and let's start with something simple. Can we just create maybe equalize exposure? How about fix exposure? How about that? I mean, that is... So now we're in the vein of... We're testing this AI. We're seeing like how it interprets my words. And I think in the future, there are going to be sort of AI whisperers who can come up with prompts that my girlfriend's actually really good at this. Come up with that's interesting. Fix exposure. Fix see because AI kind of going off the reservation here a little bit. Fix exposure. Okay. We don't need to. Okay, cool. How about this? Can we just can we match exposure with subject? So can we match exposure with subject? I think that as photographers, all of us go through this, and there are ways. I mean, look, I could do this without AI, but I'm wondering how AI can help me, right? Can it match this exposure with the subject? I think that that's simple. I think that a lot of people are going to use this technology. That was my bad. That was my bad. This is the last try. Last try. Select inverse, and then let's try match exposure with subject. Let's see if we can do this. I'm going to do a part 2 of this as I fool around with this. And check out my, I almost said Midjourney, my Firefly episode 2 where I start, episode also. There are going to be a few, AI it does not understand sort of exposure. I do think it's interesting the shadow that's making on the ground here. I don't get what's happening there. I don't know what it means by maybe it's okay. So in conclusion, this is an amazing technology. I do think that there are let me try one more thing. Now this is something that has been advertised. Let us select inverse. Okay. I am going to cut. And this is sort of what I did with the other one. And I want to, that's funny. And I want to see what it comes up with as far as what's going on behind this guy. This is the idea that really, really impressed me when I saw the videos that they were advertising. So it's like generative fill and just generate. I don't even want to tell you what's behind. I want you to come up with what's going on behind this guy based on my blown out photo. Let's see what's going on here. I'm hoping that it is taking into account the vanishing point, the perspective of the buildings and the people on the street. Oh, that's fascinating. My first reaction was it knows that there's something there because of the shadow on the ground. Because of the shadow on the ground, it knows that there was something there. That is so interesting. Okay, how about if I do this? Let's erase all traces of this guy. Let's erase all traces. No shadow on the ground, no nothing. There we are. We're going to cut. Sorry, you know me. You know I get greedy. And then I want here's what I want. I want generative fill. Come on, you told me this is going to be great, Adobe. And it is. It's fantastic. Like let's not fool ourselves. It reminds me of how powerful AI is, but how much more powerful we are as humans. Like our perception, right? It's like if we were to look at this image, we could sort of ascertain, we could guess what's going on behind this person, which is what the AI is in its infancy of doing, right? But look at that. That's interesting, and probably not the hardest thing to do, but here, let's see here. Probably not the hardest thing to do, but let's see. It's before and the after. Yeah. Very impressive. Very, very impressive. You could see kind of where it's starting to guess a little bit, but and to be honest, this is not the best sort of example of how to do of this program's capabilities. Because of my blown out picture. But yeah, I think that we can all see sort of the potential that's happening here, right? You know, I was gonna end the episode right there, but y'all know I'm a greedy bastard. So like, I wanted to and the last image, the blown out one, was probably not. It was probably a little unfair, right? So I wanted to end it on this one last image. These are never before seen images that I did of Elijah Wood, maybe in 2013. Let me flatten this. And I want to see. Here's what I'm most curious about. And what is most sort of awe-inspiring to me, at least according to the advertisements, is when you take one of these people, like the subject out, and the AI interprets what's going on in the background, which is why I think that the last example wasn't the best, because it was so overexposed and like there was kind of no background. But now we have a guy. Look, all right, it's Elijah Wood. Here we are. Here we are. We're not going to be super neat about it, because it seems like the point of AI would be, you know, we don't have to be meticulous anymore. We live in a world where we have like robot maids and shit, right? Like, this is my robot helper. So I wonder, let's see. Let's just generate. I want to generate. I want to see what happens here. Will it give me another person? Will it give me the background that's behind him? I want to see what's about to happen here. That's sort of the thing about AI. It's like it's like working with someone, you know, so I don't know exactly what it's going to do. Now that is hideous. That's hideous. That's really, really bad. I wonder where they're getting these people. That's interesting. I wonder where they're getting these people from. Okay, so let's not do that. Let's work with what we know. Let's say, okay, so let's eliminate all traces of our boy, right? Eliminate everything. I want to see what happens. And then we cut him out. All right? I don't want, and then I want, let's see, how do we do this? Okay. We do this. And I want the AI to interpret, hopefully, what is going on behind this person. Let's see. Generative fill. Let's just generate. Let's generate, baby. To me, this was one of the big selling points of this. A weird fact about me, you know, when everybody gives me like a multiple choice kind of question, like those are super hard for me, because I'm like, well, it kind of could be choice one, or it could be choice D if you really think about it a little bit. And I think that this is kind of like that. You know, it's like it's interpretation. Now this is it. Like, look at this. This is believable, sort of, I guess. I like what it thinks could be had. That doesn't look great. Option 1, I think, is it. But let's see what happens when we generate. Just again, let's see. Let's keep going with it. And I wonder what what would happen if we're like, hey, continue the couch or something, you know? That's an interesting, like, shays. Okay, so, now we're dealing with 6 variations. I wonder how many we can get. That's some sort of translucent TV table, maybe? We see where it's going. I think that I'm going to call this episode... Oh, you know what? I keep on trying to end the episode, and I keep on thinking of more stuff. This is fun. Let's see. Canvas size, let's go inches, and the width, let's go 20 inches, yeah? There we are. What I want to do is this. I want to... Oh, let's see. How does this work? Okay. We're just going to build on top of what we got. I'm going to do this selection, and then I'm going to say, I just want to generate fill. I want to see what happens. I want to see how far this room goes. Is there a bookcase over there? Is there a mirror? This was another thing that I saw in the demos that was super interesting. I think that my thought process is we want to... That's amazing. Let's see what's on this other side. But let's say continue curtains and insert bookshelf. Let's try that. This beta version is interesting. I wonder, it makes me wonder how accurate all my images that I put out for... I don't see no bookshelf. All the images that I put out, that's not bad. All the images that I put out for publication are 400 DPI. That's interesting. But I imagine that it would take up so much computing power to make these AI generations high res. It's going to be interesting to see what they come up with. As far as my very first impressions, this is a solid start. Hey guys, so as far as my very first impressions, keep in mind I'm going through this for the first time just like you guys are. First impressions, super impressive technology, super impressive first step. Obviously it's a beta, and the meaning of the beta is the fact that it won't be perfect. I think that things are being ironed out, I would imagine. I'm wondering about high-res solutions for professionals. I am wondering about face and hands. This is still not perfected that. But as far as what's going on here with this content-aware fill, it is... I think it's spectacular. It is... think about what it's doing. It is making reality up, you know? I think it's super impressive. And regardless of sort of the things that are not perfect, we have to take into account everything that is being done for the first time here. And I think that it's very important, just, personal note from, your friendly neighborhood professional photographer. As photographers, we need to learn this stuff. This stuff is going to change the world. And if we don't keep up with it, it's going to... There'll be a lot of us that are out of business. We need to learn this stuff. We need to learn how to control it. We need to learn how to work with it. What part of our workflow is going to be benefited? What part of our workflow can we still do by ourselves better than an AI? Our machine overlords are still machines. This is not Skynet yet. But I do think that this is a super interesting jumping off point. I would love to know what you guys are thinking about it. If you have the beta, let me know. I know that I'm only putting my baby toe in right now. Like, I know it's a lot deeper than this. I'm expecting more updates. Right now, I think it's super impressive. I think that I'm going to do another episode on this very soon. I think I'm going to do another episode on Firefly very soon. There's some new features on that. Until then, please like and subscribe. I keep on forgetting where this thing is. Like and subscribe. These are all my socials. Hit me up on there. I'm a very easy guy to find on the internet. And I'm trying to build a community of artists. I love talking to artists about art, about the industry, where the hell is the work, these sorts of things, man. Our community becomes stronger when all of us are communicating, if you know what I mean. Until then, until next time, I will talk to you later. This is Kareem Black bidding you adieu.